Hey everyone. When I planned the series, I mentioned that I'd do the 10 videos with certain amounts of starting cash and then extra videos when special situations came up, and this is one of those situations. I wanted to do a video showing how to make money off of updates, and since they came out with a new Slayer dungeon today, it's pretty much the perfect opportunity. It's a pretty big update, so there were some ways to make money. In general, updates are on Monday and Tuesday mornings Eastern Time, and you should, if you can, you should try and be online for updates. Keep an eye out in the recent updates forum and in-game for the 1 hour countdown. And while you're waiting, you should have the recent updates forum open and the main page open so you can see the news post when it comes out. The recent updates forum is good because you can see the patch notes and you can see what people are talking about. It depends on the update, but sometimes there are pretty major price fluctuations based on the update, and sometimes you'll just want to merge the new items that come out. When the update happened, I went through the patch notes and the main page, and I didn't see anything major besides the Slayer dungeon itself and the new items. So I decided I'd just go test it out. I tested it out for about an hour, killed some things, and got a few drops, nothing major. And then I went and I started merchanting. I started out by making the new staves by buying the spores and the sticks, and I was selling them for about 900k profit a piece. When I hit my limit for buying the spores, I decided to just start flipping the staves by themselves. And I think I made about 50 mil overall in 3 hours. I'll need to double check that. I'll just check the video footage. And I don't think I ever went over having 100 mil in items at any one time, so you really don't need all that much money to merchant and take advantage of these types of things. It does help in some cases. I've got a picture in the description of the most money that I ever made in one day from merchanting. Well, actually the most money I've ever made in one day, but it was from merchanting, and that was from the Ring of Wealth update. The Ring of Wealth was a little bit bugged, and it made Corp Beast drop 100%. It had a sickle drop rate of 100% if you had a pretty big team and you were doing loot share or coin share. And I merchanted sickles, and I'd buy them in the G and then sell the spirit shields, and I made about $1 bill that day. That was pretty amazing. But anyway, back to this. The staves started crashing very quickly. They were about well, you can see the video, I'm just talking and commentating. But when I started out, I think the staves were around 10 mil, and within a couple hours they dropped all the way down to 4 mil. The lowest I managed to buy one for was 3.5 mil, but generally it was around 4 mil at the end. And then they went up a little bit and stayed between 4.5 and 5 mil for a while. And on average, I think I was flipping them for about 300k profit, but sometimes you'd get lucky or I'd get lucky and there would be a few that I'd flip for $1 mil profit. And then sometimes when they were crashing, I'd have to sell them and take a little bit of a loss, or I'd break even. You really can't be afraid to do that, especially if an item is crashing. When it comes out, you want to get rid of it as soon as you can before it drops more. There's a chance that it'll rebound a little bit, but in general, they're just going to keep dropping, and you want to get rid of them and flip them at a lower price. Merchanting new items can be really great because people don't know the prices, and there aren't a ton of them in game yet, so you can get better margins. There's also a lot more risk because they're volatile. They'll drop without much warning. So yeah, don't be afraid to dump an item and take a bit of a loss if you know you can get it back for lower, or even if you hope you can get it back for lower. You should also make sure to read all the patch notes and all the updates, and just get as much information as you can so you don't get surprised by something. As for today's update itself, I'm not sure what Jagex was thinking with the new armor. It's quite ridiculous actually. It's high level mage armor that gives melee defense, but it doesn't give any negative melee offense, so from what I can tell, it's just going to be used by meleeers to kill mages. Probably not what Jagex intended, but, well, I guess they should have anticipated that. The armor is pretty ridiculous, though. It gives 34% magic absorption, which absorption isn't very good, but it's 34% is pretty significant. The melee defense is good, except it doesn't give stab defense, so it's a high-level mage armor, but if you're trying to kill high-level meleeers who are all using rapiers, you'll still get owned by melee. So, yeah, Jagex sort of messed up with that. If they want to fix it, I think they should give it negative melee offense, a significant amount, like negative 20 or something, for the plate and legs overall. And they should also give it a decent amount of stab defense. So that, I think, would make it much more balanced. At the moment, it's just going to be used by meleeers to dominate mages, pretty much. If you're maging, unless you're in something like Castle Wars where you're against a lot of other players, you're better off just using a Rims, because the degrade cost for the Ganodermic, which is Ganodermic is the new stuff, the degrade cost for it isn't worthwhile. And for other situations where you could use the new armor, Corp Beast is probably the best, because you get really good melee defense and mage defense, and Corp only melees and mages, so you've got really good defense there. Other updates today, they added a new staff which has an inherent spell, so you don't need to bring runes for it, and the spell, from what I've heard and seen, is the second best damage per second for magic, so it's second only to Armadillo Storm, and that's really good. That gives mage a way to be comparable for training with melee in range, so it's not too expensive. And it's also just really convenient not to have to select a spell whenever you switch weapons. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a good update for mage. And yeah, that's a pretty major update. That'll pretty much replace all the other spells that we've got. So I'm expecting Blood and Death Runes to crash quite a lot. I already sold most of mine. And yeah, I'll get the next part of the merchant video log out in a day or two. I'll be doing the 5 mil starting cash and seeing how much I can make with that.